Thank you so much. What an appropriate poem. I'd like to invite Area's Vice President, Timothy Lunsford, to share a few remarks with us this evening. Timothy has been an officer of this organization for many years. We met after the Run Around America came home. We met at an ACT UP meeting some 25 years ago.
On this 25th anniversary, I just want to say thank you all for being here. And I've been very disillusioned in the last 10 years because so many people have been apathetic about AIDS and HIV and not participated in different events and different activities. But it seems on this 25th anniversary with what ACT UP did in DC and John Boner's office really brought some awareness about HIV around the world. 7 people took their clothes off in his office with his staff, and they were asked by the police to please put their robes back on and leave the room, which they did. But then in a sexist action, the Capitol Police arrested the 3 women and let the 4 men leave. So not only do we have stigma about HIV and AIDS, but we have sexism and other things affecting our efforts to raise awareness about AIDS. And I think that if you all could consider what you can do outside of World AIDS Day and make a difference in making other people aware of HIV and AIDS, being in ACT UP since 1987, I've known lots of ACT UPers who died. We need bodies to replace them in ACT UP, but there's also other groups you can affiliate with, like Treatment Action Group, like GMAC, the Harlem AIDS Project, Trinity here, their education department. Do what you can do to make a difference, because right now in New York City, the 13 to 23-year-old and gay male is now on the rise. In the heterosexual community in New York, women are still the leading infection rates, and that's unnecessary. We have the education tools, but when you look right now at the way our medical society is talking about now the drugs that are available, there's no component of that discussion around prevention. It's always, if you get infected or you think you got infected, we can give you the medicines so that you don't get AIDS. To me, that is the wrong thing to be doing in this day and age without the component of prevention, condoms, safe needles for drug users. Things like that are still an educational tool that should be used along with this other mechanism that they found to stop AIDS. And I hope that in our lifetime we can find a cure for AIDS, or at least stop the infection rates. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim. Tim has been a fierce activist in the fight against AIDS for so many years, and we couldn't do what we do without him. So, thank you. In a moment, we're going to start reading a few names. Most of the names that we've been collecting over the years from the area list. There'll be many more names being read at Abbott and Broadway. In a few minutes, as we begin to light our candles and start to march, they'll start to read the names there. And they'll continue to read the names until 7 p.m. when our formal program begins, which will be followed by a wonderful reception. And hanging in the church, you will see sections of the AIDS Memorial, International AIDS Memorial quilt from Venezuela and South Africa, our Out of the Darkness signature quilt with 10 years of this event of Leading Memorials. Another year or so, and we will soon be sewing these smaller panels that you're Leading Memorials on tonight into a 12 by 12. This is the 25th World AIDS Day, and this marks the beginning of the 3rd decade of Out of the Darkness. I'll talk a little bit further about some of the other milestones when I get to the church. I just want to bring to your attention, this has kind of become part of my traditions here at Trinity, is to find something from The Color of Light. If you're not familiar with this book, it's called The Color of Light, Daily Meditations for All of Us Living with AIDS, written by a man by the name of Perry Tilleross, who gave a great gift to the whole world. It's a Hazelden book. It's great for anyone who's infected or affected by AIDS. And I attribute my longevity to living with HIV and AIDS for more than 20 years, more to this book than to all the antiretrovirals I've consumed. Sadly, Perry Tilleross was taken by AIDS himself many, many years ago. Ironically, this book was published the year of the very first World AIDS Day, 1988. It's like, at first I thought I'd just pick anywhere in the book, but there's one that I've always been drawn back to. This is a piece of one. Each day begins with a quote from someone, and there are people that I even know that are quoted in this book, like Michael Callan and Michael Hirsch. Tom Cunningham, who was one of the first presidents of ACT UP, his quote is, "This is not a dress rehearsal." But this is he pulls from these quotes, and then there's also an affirmation at the bottom of the text. And this is from another point in the book, but it's what begins November. "I honor the memories of those of us who are gone, and I bless and honor the presence of those among us who stand like evergreens." And I feel we're among quite a bunch of evergreens tonight, bearing this cold winter night, to light candles in memory and in hope. So let's remember some of these people. Those who are going to read, please come up. Who's got an A name? Great. Well, then you start then, Jan, please.
Peter Allen, A.J. Antoon, Arthur Ashe, Corey Azevedo, Danny Banks, Philip Blackwell, Amanda Blake, Michael Bratell, Bob, Gary, and Jack Bruback, Len Calder, George Kaleha, Michael Callan, John Calori, Bruce Caro, Jack Castor, Richard Chenault, Mel Charon, Tina Chow, Richard Christopher, Raul Campagnoni, Alan Danzig, Brad Davis, Tom Davis, Michael Devereaux, David During, Edward Dunn, Perry Ellis, Jim Farrells, Dick Fisher, Jeffrey French, Charles Fritzlow, John Gogg, Ken Jello, Elizabeth and Ariel Glazer, Lee Graham, Eric Gregg, Tony Hammer, Robert Hilferty, Fritz Holt, Rock Hudson, Joel Ifsher, Alvin Jaffin, Baby Jessica, Jim Johnson, Bruce Karcher, Bill Concoy, Scott Lego, Dan Lanning, David Lee.